Well, hello YouTube. Here we are with a little bit of a video. Well, in front of us here we have a Schwinn brand bicycle. This one here is the Soto brand. You may remember this here bike from last season. It was a brand new bike last year that I did a little bit of a once-over and such on for a customer. Well, of course, last year the customer rode it once or twice, had some issues riding the bike. In terms of the bike itself, well, there isn't really anything wrong with the bike being not able to be ridden, like a factory defect in design or construction. The pedals point the right direction, the wheels roll, and well, everything else works or worked quite well. It was just the customer who did not, the customer just was not able to get the hang of, this here bike. So of course it comes back into my possession. It does need some repair already, unfortunately. Again, not due to factory flaws or defects or poor workmanship, due to the issues that the customer experienced riding the bike. So of course, first thing to do, let's pull off that rack there, and then we'll get it clamped on into the stand, and then we'll do an assessment on well, what it needs. Okay guys, so here we go. Got her jigged up there in the stand. I did a little bit of a quick once over on the bike just to see at first hand what needed to be done. Now of course, first of all, I noticed the back wheel is rubbing a bit. It is very, very, very slightly untrue. When the customer wiped out, they pretty much put all their weight to the right hand side of the bike, which put a little bit of strain on, well, that there wheel. Keeping with the well, the damage, there's a little nick in the seat right about there, and another little scuff right about here. It's more of a bruise in the leather, if you want to say. In terms of other damage, of course, the pedal has a scuff in it. The handlebars probably ended up tucking back, which means the grip itself has a scuff. The brake lever has a bit of a twist back, same with the grip shift, or the revo shift, whatever you want to call her. You can see by the scuff in it here. Lucky, that didn't break, because sometimes in an impact like that, those things do end up breaking. The reflector snapped off it, and there's scuffs in the fork, obviously from the fall itself. Now, of course, I'm going to try to get an adjustment on these brakes. If I can get the brakes to operate acceptable with the very, very, very slight bend in the rim, then I won't get it trued. If I have to run her down to the shop and get them to true it, then well, that's the way it is. Now, one of the things I notice just looking at the bike, if this camera will show it, is there's a tiny little piece of rubber sticking out of the tire here. Now, obviously, or I guess I could probably assume it's not the tube, or else if the tube was pinching or poking out of the rim like that, then it probably would have popped. Now, there is a rubber liner inside these rims that protect the tube from the spokes. Sometimes they poke out, or it could be just cheap casting on the tire itself, and it's just that is what's poking out of the spot there. So I have to decide if I want to tear that apart and to see what that is, or just run it and take that chance. All in all, of course, there isn't really a whole lot of use on this here bike. As you can tell, it is not grimy at all. It is still a very, very clean unit. Like I said, there's probably only a half hour or 45 minutes of riding on this here bike before, before they had the issue. So it's very still, muchly a still brand newish bicycle. Now, of course, the choice needs to be made with me. Am I gonna try to resell this bike, try to recuperate some of the loss that was incurred, or am I gonna part it out and use the parts to fix up other ones? Of course, keep in mind it is a brand new bike. There isn't really anything in terms wrong with it. Like I said, with the couple of adjustments, maybe a true on the back rim. So really, all in all, it's fairly straightforward. So going to see what I can do with that back wheel. Maybe get it squared on away. And then, well, we'll check back in. Okay guys, so there we go. I gave her a little bit of a quick once over. Everything is still good. Everything is still, well, adjusted in terms of you know, the shifting and things like that. Being it is still a brand new bike, there isn't really anything wrong per se. The shifting is good. The cable tensions are good. Of course, when you have a new bike, you can buy it, put it in your garage on a hook, and have to do a tune-up on it in 6 months or a year, because the cables can and do stretch. This one here, it still seems to be well within the acceptable range, as well as, well, basically it's good to go. I will show you the wander here on the back wheel. Now I've got you zoomed in here. What you're looking at is the space between the back rim and the brake you know, pad or so itself. So if you spin that back rim, as you notice, the gap gets, you know, narrower and wider as you spin that wheel. Pretty much that's what is the out of alignment. Now, of course, that is a very, very, very minor, probably like less than, you know, 1/8 of an inch of wander, if you want to say. You probably could get that trued for very, very minimal dollars. It doesn't really rub or interfere with the brakes to the point where you can't adjust the brakes still to work. We'll have to see. I might end up running this rim down and getting it trued, or, you know, we might just run her the way it is and call her good. I did a realign, of course, on the, well, the front handlebars and stem, brake levers, shifters, and all that. Ran it all through the gears to make sure nothing was cracked or broke, because, well, you know, during an impact, stuff can happen. The front wheel is true. All the cables are good. On a scale of 1 to 10, when you consider basically it's been crash tested, it survived like 9.5. You can't really blame the scratches in the paint or the, you know, other abrasions here and there, because, well, it's going to happen no matter what bicycle it is. The out of trueness of the back wheel, well, that is normal damage for a side load to any type of bicycle wheel. Bicycle wheels aren't meant for a side load. They're meant for, you know, vertical load, not a, you know, side load. So, of course, going to throw some air in these tires, take it for a rip just to make sure that it still performs the way that in real life is what it does on the stand. And then we'll come on back with our final thoughts. Okay guys, so here we go. Of course, the bike is all now good to go. Of course, being it's a Comfort Series bike, the geometry is a little bit different compared to other mountain bikes, if you want to say. The fork is a little bit on the soft side, and I don't really see any way to adjust it. I'm assuming it's elastomers in the fork versus you know the old school air over oil type of shock. The stem right now is adjusted fairly erect, pretty much to the max height it can go, which does make the steering feel a little odd on the bike. So I might readjust that stem so it is a little bit lower. The person that may be riding this bike will probably end up being a shorter adult or a taller teenager type of deal. It's not going to be a 6'4" guy. It'll be more of a shorter type of person. You know how they say that first impressions quite often, they are the ones that make the difference in a sale of a bicycle or not. Well, if you don't have things adjusted properly, proper tire pressure, if it doesn't just plain feel right, a lot of people will walk away. You can take 3 identical bikes, same model, same everything, came right out of the same box, if you want to say, and adjust them, set them up differently, and the same person will walk away from all 3, even though they're identical, just because they didn't feel what they're looking for. So I may have to spend a little bit of time with the buyer of this here bike and set up the stem, rotate the shifters and the brake levers and such so they fit the new person the way they're supposed to, and really it'll all be good. Of course, not 100% sure if I want to put out the extra money for the return on truing that back rim, but if it was a bicycle that I was going to keep or that I might end up keeping, I will probably put that out. But pretty much, guys, this concludes a little bit of a follow-up, a little bit of a once-over on a Schwinn Soto Comfort Series 21-speed bike. And as always, thanks for watching Maxwell's World. Comment, subscribe, and enjoy.